What's up, guys? Happy Friday. It's Alex with No Coast Creative Co. I wanted to hop on here because I wanted to talk about my story. I wanted to tell you who I am and why I'm into photography and videography and how I got into those things in the first place. It doesn't really make any sense for me to teach you guys about photography and everything and the skills and how to learn it if you don't know my background, right? So I am actually a physical therapist by trade. And I'm not a physical therapist anymore. I am actually in medical device sales. And there's a long story to that. Maybe I could talk about that some other day. But I graduated in December of 2016. And before that, I took a 2-week-long trip with some friends out to the Pacific Northwest. We had winter break, and we were all really excited. We had planned this for about 6 months. And all I had was my GoPro. My GoPro that was it. So I took my GoPro out there, got some really great scenes and videos and really awesome pictures, or what I thought was awesome at the time. I would love to take the same pictures now and kind of see how different they are, but went out there and absolutely fell in love with the nature out there of the PNW. I can't tell you enough about how peaceful and tranquil it is out there, with the moodiness of it and the constant existential mist and the mountains and the pines. You just really don't get any better than that. And I'm sad I don't live there anymore. I live in Kansas City now, but hopefully you get back out there someday. We'll see. Maybe even own a rental property out there. I don't know. So long story short, did that. Never stopped thinking about it after. And graduated with my doctorate in December of 2016. And I took a big girl job in Quincy, Illinois, which is my hometown, thinking that I was going to stay there for a year or two just to get some experience under my belt, etc., etc. Well, I only lasted 7 months there because I was miserable and I wanted to get out. I needed to do travel PT. I actually also only moved back to Quincy because I got back together with someone that I wasn't supposed to be getting back together with, and so on and so forth. And long story short, I should have never gone there in the first place, but I did because love, whatever. Long story short, I shouldn't have gone back there. But I bought my first camera with my first paycheck from physical therapy, and I bought a Canon Rebel T6. It had a kit lens, and it came with a bag and a memory card and all this other stuff, and I thought it was awesome. I thought I was the bee's knees. I had no clue how I was going to use it. I had no clue how to do anything regarding exposure, composition, etc., etc. But I was determined to learn how to use it. So I bought that camera, moved out to Kansas City for my first physical therapy contract, started using it with photo shoots of my friends and the city in general, and just trying to get familiar with my camera and its settings and how to work it. After that contract, I took a contract in San Francisco. And my family was like, "What the hell are you doing?" They were like, "You're literally from Quincy, Illinois, and you think you're going to survive in a big city like that? Come on. I mean, you're not going to last." So I said, bet. And of course, I did the thing that I would do over and over again, which was move out there. And on the way out there, I stopped at all the places that I wanted to stop at. I had a month in between my first contract ending and my other contract starting. So I took 2 weeks and I traveled through Colorado and every national park, starting from Colorado down into New Mexico, Arizona, California, stopped in San Diego for a little bit to see my buddies, and then I went up to San Francisco. And I got to use my camera there too. I went to Redwoods National Park, Point Lobos National Scenic Area, Half Moon Bay, I mean, you name it. I went to Yosemite, which was really fun. I wish I had more time there. I really need to go back there because I'd love to hike Half Dome, but I'm too scared of heights to know if I would even follow through with that. So if anyone else wants to hike Half Dome, let me know. But I saw a bunch of really cool stuff, and I got to use my camera more and get more familiar with it out in nature. And when I got done with my contract in San Francisco, I had actually gotten really sick the last 2 weeks of my contract. My contract was cut short because I actually ended up getting salmonella and ended up moving back to St. Louis for a very short stint. It was literally like a month and a half, 4 to 6 weeks before moving back out to the West Coast for a contract in Seattle. And when I got out to Seattle, everything changed. I met one of my best friends, AJ, and he was a huge hiker. Like, he loves hiking and backpacking, and he loves photography. He has a Sony a6400, and we really just bonded over all of that. And I don't know, we went out all the time. I was going through a breakup, and we would go hiking and backpacking and camping, and you name it, we were doing it. And we took our cameras every single time. And then we got a little bit more serious about it, and we started going to bigger places. Even if we had a 3-day trip, like, we were like, okay, we're going to drive overnight. This is what we're going to do. We have 2 days there, and then we'll drive 10 hours back to come back to work on Monday or Tuesday or whatever it was. So we went to Glacier National Park, which with a couple of our friends, which was literally one of my favorite trips, probably if not my favorite trip of all time in my entire life. And then we went to Banff National Park, which was also probably one of the best, if not the best, trips of my entire life. And man, if you haven't been there, guys, like, you just have to go. It makes you realize how small you are and how insignificant you are in regards to nature and just the world in general. Like we're not that special, you know? I don't know. Just nature tends to do that to you. There's something about it that just makes you feel like everything in life is really not, it's really not that serious, and it's not that big of a deal, you know? And I don't know, if you can be out in nature and feel the peace and tranquility that I felt whenever I went hiking or backpacking in the Pacific Northwest or Canada, there's just nothing quite like it. There is nothing quite like it. So we had all those awesome opportunities, and then came December 2019, and I think it was Christmas. I want to say it was either Christmas or it was Thanksgiving, but I was sitting in my living room in my 1-bedroom apartment in Seattle, which I don't even want to know what the rent is right now. Like, back when I was paying that in 2019, I was paying $1,400 a month, which, to be honest, is a steal, I'm sure, because it's probably over $2,000 a month right now. But went out there and was looking at flights. I've always been really inspired by Chris Burkard's photography, and he has been going out to Iceland for years. Like, I think he said he's gone to Iceland. I can't even tell you. It's like an incredible amount of times. It's an incredible number. And I just started looking at Iceland. It was never even a country that I had even thought of before he started coming out with all of his photography and his documentaries out there. And I just absolutely fell in love. I don't know. There was just something about it that really drew me into it. So I looked up flights one night, and flights were only $505 round trip. And so I texted my friends, including AJ, and I said, hey, let's go. We're going to go. It was September of 2020 we were supposed to go, and we booked all of our tickets, and I want to say there was like 7 of us going. 6 or 7 of us going. We were all just going to get 2 like small Sprinter vans, camp in them, and go around the entire country. And unfortunately, because of COVID, that didn't work out. So I was really bummed about that. Rest assured, though, my fiance, future wife, and I are going to Iceland for a honeymoon this year. So I'm very excited about that. It's gonna be the trip of a lifetime, and to do it with the person that I love makes it even better. So. Long story short, that didn't end up working out. COVID hit. I had just gotten my own business, my physical therapy business, up and running in Seattle, and that was in January of 2020, and then COVID hit, and nothing was the same ever again in regards to physical therapy, especially for me. So I went into a really depressive state, didn't leave my apartment for 10 days, and decided that I needed to get out of Seattle. I was extremely depressed. I had never been that low in my entire life, and anyone who knows me knows that I'm a pretty positive, upbeat person, really easy to get along with, super easygoing, and just wasn't working out in Seattle anymore. I felt like I needed to go somewhere else. So I moved down to Arizona, and I got to see a whole lot of other scenery. Again, I went to Antelope Canyon, Horseshoe Bend, and again, absolutely fell in love with all of it. So really just fell in love with nature. And then I ended back up in Seattle, and now I'm back in Kansas City. That's a story for another time. But long story short, I'm not in physical therapy anymore. I realized that I wasn't really ever passionate about physical therapy in the first place. And all I can see is that it put me into a shit ton of student debt. And I don't know, I just didn't like the idea of being tied to a ball and chain and having to go into a clinic every single day for the rest of my life. When I thought about doing that, it was like, man, is this all I'm going to do for the rest of my life? Like, I feel like there's so much more to me than this. So I'm actually in medical device sales now, which is an awesome career, but I'm into photography and videography now. And when I moved back to Kansas City, I didn't touch my Sony a7 II. I bought a Sony a7 II in January of 2020 because I used it as a business write-off for my company because I was filming a lot of content for my company at that time. And I ended up actually not liking my Sony a7 II because I wasn't good at it. Sony, if you make the switch from Canon to Sony, it's a huge learning curve. It took me a really long time to become really comfortable with the Sony cameras. And honestly, I feel like I just didn't learn it because I was lazy. But long story short, what happened was I ended up really not using my camera. I fell out of love with it for a little bit because I was frustrated and I didn't want to have to learn how to use a new camera. I was also like a little bit resentful of the fact that I had sold my Canon. So I stopped using it, and then when we moved back here to Kansas City, I don't know about you, but there's not really a whole lot to do here other than go to a bar or go to sports games, and I'm not really into that stuff. I don't drink, and call me lame, but I just don't like to drink. And I don't know, not a huge party person. I'm a morning person. I like to spend my time like doing the things that I want to do that are going to make me better individually and professionally. And so I started picking up my camera, my Sony a7 II, and I realized that it really wasn't that hard to use, but I also didn't like the camera. I felt like it wasn't as good as the Sony a7 III. So when Black Friday came of last year, I bought the Sony a7 III, and I will never go back to the Sony a7 II. I can make a different video on that, but Sony a7 III is great. I absolutely love it, and I realized that I really wanted to up my skills again, and I wanted to do it in a quick way. So I actually reached out to Alora Griffiths, who is, she owns Big 3 Media, and she works for HD Muscle out of Toronto in Canada. And I just shot my shot. I said, hey, I really need some mentorship. I was wondering if you teach me like videography. I'll pay you monthly to teach me how to, do the things that it took you years to learn. And so we did that. We did it once a week for 2 hours each time. And I learned more in the span of a month and a half than I ever would have learned probably trying to learn by myself. I highly, highly recommend reaching out for mentorship if you haven't. I mean, the things that she taught me on how to use Premiere Pro, I mean, that would have taken me forever to learn. Even if I would have used YouTube videos, I mean, she just knew. She's just naturally a good teacher. And I was lucky that I reached out to her and she said, yes, I will help you. So shoot your shot. If you're looking for mentorship, reach out to that person that you want to reach out to and ask them. The most they can do is say no. Like, if you ask and you're willing to pay them for their time, most importantly, because time is important to everyone, not just you, not just me, but small business owners and creatives as well. Pay them for their time. And if you guys can work something out, then do it. But that's what I did. I got into fitness videography and photography. You'll see that on my Instagram page if you follow me. And it's something that I feel like I've really transformed even over the course of, 5 months now. Alora and I started working together in January, and to see the progress of my videography skills and my photography skills as well transform over the course of 5 months, like, man, you guys, I can't wait to see where I'm at in a year, 2 years, 10 years. Like, I just literally can't imagine. So that's kind of how far I've come with this. I have my own photography website now. It's alexreesphoto.com. I'm doing like mainly couples photography on there, but I also do like fitness photography and videography, and I'm trying to figure out how to like do my branding on there so that it shows everything that I do. I want to have like a vast portfolio. But that's kind of what I'm getting into, and I really, really enjoy it. I have a couple workshops coming up that I'm going to. Well, I have one workshop coming up that I'm going to, and that's in Salt Lake City, and we're going to shoot at the Salt Flats, which I'm so stoked about. And we are also going to do, we're going to like hike and do like some elopement photo shoots and everything along those lines, and that's going to be really fun as well. But I'm just continually trying to invest in myself and my skills in regards to photography and videography, because I have a goal with this. Like, I don't know, if I could make this a full-time thing someday, like, I think that'd be really cool, you know? I don't know if that's ever going to be a thing. I'm really passionate about it, and I love it, and it's like, it's the thing that I love to spend my most amount of time on outside of work. And it's really exciting to see the transformation over the course of time, even just a short period of time. So if you're a new creator out there and you don't know where to start, the best advice I have for you is to get to know the camera you have really, really well and use it. That's the biggest thing. In January, when I first started using my camera, I was scared to record in a gym. I was scared to walk into a gym and start recording people. And I was scared to take my camera out in public and record myself, because I thought everyone else was going to be looking at me like, no one gives a shit. Literally, no one cares. And if they do, who cares? Like, you don't know them from a hole in the wall. So do it for yourself. I don't know. This is the first week that I've posted consistently on Instagram, and I'm really excited about it. But yeah, I hope you guys learned something today. That's just a little snippet of how I got into like photography and videography. I'm really not even getting paid a whole bunch quite yet. I'm probably making like anywhere from $200 to $250 per shoot right now, full transparency. But it's better than nothing. And honestly, I've been doing a lot of free shoots because I'm trying to build up my portfolio, in order to niche down on what I actually want to do and work towards. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. If you liked this video or you related to it at all, please like comment below, like, subscribe, comment any questions you have below in the comments section. I hope that I'm not the only person out there who's just getting into this, or who has been doing this for a while and is finally starting to get serious about it. I'd love to have another group, a whole group of creators where we can all lean on each other and support each other. And there's plenty of food to go around, right? Like, there's plenty of fish in the sea for all of us to thrive and to prosper off of together. So yeah, anyways, follow my Instagram, No Coast Creative Co. Or Alex Reese Photo is my personal page that has like all of my photography stuff on it as well, and my videography stuff. And then my TikTok is No Coast Creative Co. as well. But I really enjoyed spending this time with you guys tonight, and I'll see you next week.